Alpha. And lastly, we have Larry with ForeverGreen Trails.
You have the sound on the computer.
I just turned off my volume.
And now.
Okay. And just a question I wanted to ask our audience members today, online and in person. Well, if there is one word you would use to describe how you feel about trying a new transportation option. Maybe it's excitement, maybe it's fear. Anything pop into mind? Or anything online, perhaps?
Interesting.
Interesting. I love it. And I also want to ask if there's a certain mode of transportation, a certain way to get around that you are particularly interested in today. So maybe we'd focus on that a little more than perhaps something else.
For people with special needs.
Great. Definitely talk about that. Anything online? All right, great. And with that, I'll cover our agenda. Okay. So I at Pierce County work for a program called Ride Together Pierce, which is the program's Pierce County Sustainable Transportation and Promotions Program. So we work with employers across Pierce County and just community members, educating people about their transportation options. So I'm going to cover some of the resources we offer on our website, and from there, I will also highlight some bike and trail resources, and Larry will talk about his work with ForeverGreen Trails. I'll brush up on some train and light rail information. I know we're in South Hill and it's not the closest, but if you're ever traveling into Tacoma or Seattle, it can be useful information. So I'll brush up on that. And then, of course, we'll talk about the specialized transportation options and then close out with Pierce Transit resources. And after this class, there will be an optional one-stop bus ride from out here. We'll give folks some ORCA cards, some bus passes, and we can hop on a bus for one stop and come back. So that will be an option if you are interested in that. Okay. So I wanted to highlight the Ride Together Pierce website. It's something that we have worked on pretty hard to make it a user-friendly website for people looking for any kind of sustainable transportation information, to act as a one-stop shop. So this can be walking, biking, specialized transportation, but also working a compressed work week or teleworking if you're interested in those commutes, if you will. There's resources on our website for that as well. And when I mention compressed work weeks and teleworking, these are ways for people to change up their work schedule so they're not commuting to work as much. They're eliminating a day of commuting to the office, so that's why it's included in our work. So I am going to, hopefully with no error, switch over to our website to show you around just a little bit. So far, so good. This, okay. All right. So this is our website. You'll see there, I would just want to highlight a couple of things here. The thing that might interest you most is our resident section, where you as a resident can find transportation information. And of course, I mentioned we work with businesses, so this section is more geared towards employers and programs they can offer to their employees. But one thing I wanted to highlight is under travel modes. As you can see, I hovered over it and just a big drop down came out. And this is where you can find first time user guides for every transportation mode. So it can be useful if, let's say, you're a first time bus rider. Of course, Pierce Transit has loads of information. So we just on top, we just add some information on top of that. Or for biking, if it's your first time biking around town, you can find first timer steps on like how to research a route, how to find the nearest bus stop for you. And same goes for carpooling, van pooling, which is when, well, actually, they'll talk about van pooling. I'll let that one go. Walking, riding the train, light rail, and then I mentioned teleworking, et cetera. So just want to make folks know that there's these first time user guides on our website. But to me, the more interesting part is our trip tracking calendar. And I've already pulled it up here. This is a website where folks can log the sustainable trips they've been taking. For example, there's a calendar here where I've been logging the days I work from home. And by logging these trips, first of all, you can see on the dashboard my commute savings. Because I work from home, I'm saving loads of money just from not going anywhere. So if you like keeping track of that kind of data, that could be interesting. But also there's other perks to being to logging your trips on the calendar, which I can show under rewards. We have a monthly prize drawing for folks who log just 10 sustainable trips. And that's just one way. So if you were to do a round trip, that's just 5 round trips. So 5 trips within a month. If you're busing somewhere, you're carpooling to the store with someone at home or working from home, for example. You can participate in our rider rewards campaign where we do a monthly prize drawing for $150. So that's quite an incentive for taking a sustainable trip. But on top of that, we also have an emergency ride home program. I'd pull up the webpage, but it's a lot of words, so I'll just explain it to you here. So for folks who take a sustainable commute to work, if there ever is a situation where you need to go home, you gotta call from school and your kid needs to be picked up, or like, let's say a water line bursts at home and you gotta go. But let's say you carpool to work that day and you're feeling stuck at work. We have this emergency ride home program where you can request a Lyft code from us through this rewards page and apply that to your Lyft account and request a ride home. Or let's say if you don't have the Lyft app on your phone, that's also fine. You can also take a trip calling a taxi or an Uber, however you need to get home. Just hold on to that receipt and you can submit a reimbursement. So you don't have that out of pocket expense just because you took this, like, don't be punished for taking a sustainable trip to work. So, and that's a program it's not as common, but you can find it in other areas. Pierce County is not the only folks who do it. So if you know people, let's say in King County or other regions, they might have something like this as well. And let's see, one last resource I want to highlight on this website is our pools section. And pools can be a misleading, like you might think, does this have to do with a swimming pool? But it's shortened as pools for carpooling, bike pooling, or bus pooling is a term that we're using for sharing the ride with somebody. So for example, now you know where I live or work, but you can put in your address here and there's different settings you can put to say, like, I'm okay with driving, I'm okay with riding, I'm okay with people seeing my general work area. And then you can search for other people in the area who have opted to put in their commute information as well. And you can partner up with them to go to work or rent a bus.
Yeah. Also, if you do not drive,
Mhm.
is it still, because I know carpools usually share the person driving
Mhm.
time. That's it.
Yeah, so there's definitely an option here. Like you can see, this says I'm a driver or rider, but there are some folks who can opt to say, I know I saw it, I checked earlier. Oh, I'm a rider. So you can just say that I only want to ride. And like, for example, if I want to if I want to match up with Catherine, I have the option to message them and you can get into that conversation. Like, I don't have a license. Are you willing? Well, are you willing to be the driver? So you can work out those questions. But yeah, that's definitely an option. Alrighty, so those are the resources on our website on Ride Together Peers. Okay,
So how much do people normally pay someone to drive? Like, if they don't drive, you pitch in towards the gas or some program that you buy into. That's not what.
yeah, so we do leave that up to the driver and the rider. The website is just for ride matching, like just the matching part, and it's certainly up to the rider and the driver to sort out how they want to do the cost. There are websites, I believe the AAA website has a calculator for how much this trip costs. Like you put in your vehicle information and it pops out, let's say it was a $6 ride. So it'll be up to the rider and the driver to discuss if they want to split that 50-50. If someone's driving all the time, maybe it's a different cut, but yeah. Yeah, we're not subsidizing that part of it. And by the way, I don't think I mentioned, but you are welcome to ask questions as we're talking, so it's more conversational and, yeah. Okay. I'm done with Ride Together Pierce Resources, so let me know if you have any questions, but if not, I will move on to bicycling. All right, so I did bring some Pierce County bike maps with me in the back. And for those who are interested in bicycling, whether for recreational purposes or you want to ride on the streets or go to work, there's different, I'm just gonna roll that. There's different markings on the map, so I'll just do that. If you want to, okay, great. If you want to hold on to it, you know. But there are different markings in here. If you open it up, you can see there's like some yellow, some purple, and some blue. And there's a legend in the corner that describes it's a bike lane if it's a suggested route by folks in the cycling community. So it can be a very useful tool for figuring out what's the best place to be riding around on your bike in Pierce County. Yeah. So that's a good resource. It's also on Pierce County's website if you need to find it digitally and really zoom in there. All right, so some bicycling gear I want to highlight are what are some clothes to be wearing. So now that we're in February going into March, it can be a little tricky to decide what to wear. But I would always personally recommend wearing some layers because when you start out cold, but once you start pedaling, you're warm. The gloves come off, the hat comes off. So, and it's also handy to bring a bag with you that so you can stuff all those clothes in there. I would also highly recommend wearing something bright and reflective, just to be better seen, especially at night. I have some safety vests there in the back and I have more of them. I just put one on display, but if you need one for any reason, it doesn't just have to be bicycling, like walking around or walking your dog. You can certainly have one. Definitely a helmet. Pierce County Code requires bicycle riders to have helmets. This is not, it's always the case. Every county has its own rules, but in Pierce County, you are required to wear one. And if you need any low cost helmets, around $10, most fire departments in the area have them. But you might want to just give them a call and check in to see if they have an inventory. And then once you go there, they measure your head and do a proper fitting. Oh, and optionally, you can bring spare clothes with you depending on where you're going. Okay. Let's think of that. Anything online?
just from earlier people, the things they were interested in, the just comments came a little later was about timely and what if they don't live close to a bus stop?
Okay. I seem to have frozen my slides. The wheel is spinning.
Okay.
Okay, great. Okay, so if cycling is something new to you or you don't want to travel too far, we would all recommend combining your bike trip with a transit trip. Pierce Transit and Sound Transit buses have bike racks on the front of them, and they can accommodate 2 to 3 bikes depending on the bus. And if all goes well, I can play this video perhaps. I'll just go to YouTube. The audio may not be coming through because I muted the laptop. I don't think I'm sharing audio, but you can see the handle coming down here. And you just swing your bike over. There's 2 spots here, and there's a handlebar that he's going to grab, pull over the wheel. It's nice and secure in there. Hop on, and then when it's time to hop off, just let the operator or the driver know that you're ready to hop off. Same deal, the handle comes off. And then there's a handle here where you pull it towards yourself, and then it can come back up again. Any key points about that I missed? Great. So you can do that with riding a bus. You can do that with the train or light rail as well.
What if somebody has a scooter? Can they
There.
put that on there?
A scooter.
A motorized.
Well, now I'm thinking like a Vespa.
It's a foldable motorized scooter.
Hmm.
It's not gonna fit on the bike racks in the front, but you could ask the operator if you're able to bring it on board with you.
Okay.
So generally, that's the same with like the e-bikes. The e-bikes are too heavy to fit on the bike racks on the front of the bus, but you can ask the operator if you can bring it aboard. Generally, if it's a full ride, they may say, there's not room for it, but generally, there's space to accommodate it and they'll allow you to bring it aboard.
Thank you for that. Okay. So some ways to get started bicycling, even if it's just for cruising around town and you want to get a couple miles in, just to explore your neighborhood. I would recommend doing that. You can get a bike locally, or if you already have a bike, just bring it to a nearby shop for a quick tune-up. And grab your helmet and just go pedal around your neighborhood. Or if you want to go somewhere away from vehicles, nearby there's the Nathan Chapman Trail, and also the Foothills Trail, which is quite long. So you can spend a whole day on that trail. Always recommended to ride with friends and family, especially if you're new and just wanting to get comfortable with it. And also in Pierce County, there are different groups of cyclists who host bike rides on a regular basis, and they will advertise in their rides how fast or how slow they're going, if it's family friendly, if it's a speedy ride. So you can look up some groups like Cascade Bicycle Club, Tacoma Washington Bicycle Club. They do rides along foothills so that they don't just do stuff in Tacoma. But also if you visit our website, Ride Together Pierce/bike, there's just a list of a lot of local bike groups that you can look into. And I just wanted to quickly share some hand signals that are good to know for when you are riding your bike, similar to what you learned in driver's ed. Just the same arm signals to let people know your intentions and where you're going. And to conserve time, I'm going to keep this slide in here about rules of the road. I just have some Washington State codes listed in here. But for the sake of time, I will keep that in there, but I'm going to skip it for now and invite Larry to come talk about his work with ForeverGreen Trails.
Thank you, Melody. So I'm gonna make sure I.
And I've been using.
Oh, right, it doesn't really work on. That's what. Hi, everybody, I'm Larry Levine. I'm the director of ForeverGreen Trails. And we are a Pierce County-wide trail advocacy nonprofit. Essentially, we help our local governments build out the planned regional trail system. And trails are awesome for all of these reasons that I won't read to you because you can see them right there. But as I mentioned, we're supporting the development of a unified trail system of trails connecting all the communities in Pierce County. And I'll talk a little bit, just a tiny bit more about how we do that. But first, why? Well, we're looking at a map here of the planned regional trail system. A lot of spaghetti of lines here. Essentially, our red dashed lines, those are planned trails. A lot of them. The existing trails in green, very few, and they're not connected to each other. So essentially, that's why our help is needed. What do we do? Well, largely you can kind of put it into two categories. We help grow the pie of trail funding, and we help our local governments and park districts get a piece of the pie. It's a lot of grant writing, but also a lot of coordination and communication. Why is that important? Well, because we are helping Pierce County build a trail or extend a trail into the South Hill area. We've been hard at work on this for several years. So the green section to the left side of the screen is largely in the city of Tacoma. And they've built a section that has essentially from their downtown area all the way through the east side. And right about where this little rose-colored little line segment is the end of the Tacoma phase and the beginning of the county's first phase of the pipeline trail, which has been completed. So from city limits to and through Orange Gate Park in the Summit Waller neighborhood, that's phase one of the trail. Oddly, phase two of the trail is not the next section of the trail after Orange Gate Park, but in South Hill itself. The reason why is the next section after Orange Gate Park was complicated. That's complicated. Trust us. We're working on that. We're going to come back and do that section next in phase three. But for the good news for folks in South Hill is that phase two is the next thing that the county is building. And we were very involved in that. I'll give you a zoom in a second about that, about the extent of the trail and what it's going to do and where it's going to go and what it's going to connect. But just to kind of give you a little bit of an idea about the pipeline trail extending from Tacoma into and through South Hill. So here's the zoom in of phase two. So it goes from Fruitland Avenue East along the maintenance road for the Tacoma Water Pipeline. And then it pops out at 94th and 122nd. And there's a little call out there for $50 park. And you'll say, well, what's that? I don't know, $50 park. That's because it's going to be a new park that is being built. It's already owned by the county, the property. So it will not just be a place to access the trail. It's not just simply like a parking lot and you get on the trail. There's a park with several facilities there. So it'll be a nice place to hang out, picnic area that looks right at Mount Rainier. It's quite a cute little park. It is little, but it's awesome. So if you were traveling from Fruitland Avenue along the trail and you get to $50 park, you could then hop on a shared use path. That is a shared use path is jargon. It's a term that we often use for a trail-like facility that's usually pretty adjacent to the road. It's separated from the road, but pretty adjacent to it. Whereas the red dotted line is completely separated from roads except where it crosses them. So most trails are separated from the road right of way, but a shared use path is often immediately adjacent to it. So you would then head on, or you could head on the shared use path on 122nd. And then this weird square here, that's a county facility, a public works facility. And there's already a trail built through that facility. It has a nickname, the Stop Facility for
Sewer traffic operation.
yeah, sewer traffic and operation. So, they've already built that path. And then there's a little tiny connector on a bit of 90th Avenue East that is also part of phase 2. When that is built, it's going to connect from Fruitland Avenue all the way to the Nathan Chapman Trail, which goes through the Heritage Recreation Center and onto South Hill Park. So all told, this is going to connect 3 schools and 3 parks with a trail in South Hill. And I don't have to tell you, if you live here, the place could definitely use more safe, inviting areas to walk, bike, and roll for all ages and abilities. So that's what we're all about. And for phase 1, that Tacoma to Orange Gate Park, we helped raise over $50,000 local match funds that then helped leverage $3 million plus of grant funding. So that helps your tax dollars go farther. When we're successful, we help county get grants, and that gets trails built in your communities, which I know you love. Phase 2 of the trail that we're talking about here in South Hill, we helped the county get another $1.5 million of grant funding. The county is currently in design for this section of trail. So they're designing it right now. And they're going to have a groundbreaking later this year, maybe fourth quarter, to start the actual construction of the trail. So it is happening. It is coming, definitely. This is not pie in the sky dream stuff. It is funded and happening. So I just wanted to make sure you knew that. Well, trails are, that's nice, but there's more places I want to go than just up and down a linear trail in South Hill. I want to get around South Hill. And so that's where the larger South Hill Community Trails system that's planned comes into play. And so most of these lines that you're seeing, the blue dotted lines, probably will be more of like a shared use path that's adjacent to, separated from, but adjacent to the road, as opposed to something that's completely separated, from the road by many yards. And I think so. You can see how the envisioned community trail system connects existing and future parks, as well as schools, those green and blue rectangles. So that's how the county's current regional trails plan envisions connecting and providing more mobility options for folks who either live here or work here or go to school here or are traveling through. These are facilities that they will be able to use. And it's our job to help make it happen for ForeverGreen Trails. Zooming out a little further, you get an idea of how this connects regionally. So Pipeline Trail, you can see called out there with the little red section of phase 2. And you can see how there are future connections to the Foothills Trail, a beloved big regional trail that's already built, as well as indirectly through the Foothills Trail connections to other existing and planned trails. And we have a little call outs here so you can kind of get yourself a little oriented on the regional map, how to get that. You can actually get now to Enumclaw via trail. You can get to Kent and Seattle area via trail. So we're closing all of these little gaps to help provide options, because not everyone has or is able to or wants to drive a car. So that's what we do. And you can help us and become a trail here, unleash your inner trail hero. You can find us online at forevergreentrails.org. We're on the socials. You can find us there. And you can become a member of our organization. If you're seeing this online, you can actually use this QR code and you'll arrive at our website, or you can just type it in. And if I'm able, I will try to run out of the room and get some prints made of a little info sheet of the Pipeline Trail, in case you're sitting here thinking, wow, I know I have a friend who's going to be really excited about this, but they couldn't make it today. So I'll try to get you something you can get it into their hands. So thank you very much for having me here today to talk with you about trails. And I don't know if you have any questions now or if there are any questions online that I can address. Now, I will just mention that look also for some announcements coming from Pierce County. Later in the year, they're going to kick off a South Hill Community Plan update. And so that will be important for folks who are interested in mobility options for South Hill to be involved in that process. So that's the Planning and Public Works Department of the county. And they will have an extensive outreach process. So I hope you'll be involved in that as well. Thanks so much. And I'll turn it back to Mo.
Thank you, Larry. Okay. With that, I'll briefly talk about trains and light rail and then pass the baton on to Devine. Okay. So I mentioned we're not the closest to the train options in the area, but if you ever find yourself needing to travel to Lakewood or Seattle and want to give the train a try, the nearest station near you will be the Puyallup station. So you just head on up the road and there's a big park and ride there. So you can definitely drive there. You can ride your bike there. You can also take the bus there as well. And one difference, like one big highlight about the train is that it's mostly for commuter hours. So you'll find the trains travel up between like 6 and 9 a.m. and then return in the evening. But they do also run some sounder trains for football games, soccer games. So if you're ever traveling into Seattle for a Seahawks game or something, I would highly recommend looking into the train or light rail options, as it's going to be cheaper than like paying $80 for parking. So this is a train option, and you can pay for that using an ORCA card that I'll hand you today. But also these train stations also have ticket vending machines. And similarly, light rail is also an option. This is a different service than the train. The tracks are completely owned and operated by Sound Transit. So this light rail runs way more frequently. It's every 8 to 12 minutes. There's a T line in Tacoma where it goes from Tacoma Dome around Stadium neighborhood into Hilltop. Then there's another one that goes from Federal Way all the way up past Seattle into Linwood. And the Federal Way extension opened in December. So this is new. They used to just go down to Angle Lake near the airport, but now it has come down all the way to Federal Way. That's also a great option for going into Seattle, because it also goes in further. It doesn't just stop at the King Street station where the train stops. You can go further into Seattle. And this train ride will cost you just $3. And similarly, you can use an ORCA card, and there's vending machines at the train stations.
Yes, no cash on
At the vending machine,
right.
actually, do the machines take cash? Or is it just credit card?
On
Just
buses,
Yeah.
The ticket vending.
Well, either
Oh, yeah.
the bus ride itself
so
or
Pierce Transit buses do take cash. They don't give change, however. And then I believe the vending machines can take cash.
So yeah, the machines will be able to take cash. It's things like the light rail. I don't believe have any kind of fare machine or anything.
you guys do sell the rider ticket booklets.
The like with that has like all of the riding schedules and things.
No, we used to be able to buy a packet of. I didn't know if it was an adult or a child.
Like passes.
Yeah, you pull out one and one was orange, one was green, I think.
Yeah. It's like
I mean,
Yeah, so they're not necessarily like booklets anymore, but they sell either an all-day pass or the one ride. Okay.
And that's probably the station, the customer service.
Correct.
Yeah.
And if you're looking at getting one of those like monthly booklets, like it sounds like, we still have ORCA card process is where you can get like a monthly pass for your ORCA card, so you don't
It's
go.
just that, like, we don't run the bus often, so it's. It can be a long time between. Before, I don't know about.
The card can sit in your wallet.
Yes.
Okay, so that wraps up my information on trains and the light rail. And of course, keep the questions coming, welcome stuff online. But with that, I will pass it on to Devine to talk about specialized transportation options.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Davine May. I work in Pierce County Human Services. I run two programs. One is called Beyond the Borders. The first one I'm going to talk to you about. It is a special needs transportation service that Human Service provides for a residents in East and South Pierce County. As you see, the pink area right there on the map, that is the huge service area that Beyond the Borders operates in. And you do see right there that South Hill is in a small portion of that area. We don't cover all South Hill. We cover some South Hill and some Two Allen areas. One good thing about this service, it is free. Clientele that we take for our service are youth 12 to 17, veterans, people with disability, low income, and seniors 65 and up. One thing when you do think about using this service is we only serve in the pink area. We do actually go out of the pink area, but we'll talk about that when we talk about the border expansion program. Our services, we run 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday for demand services. I also operate 3 fixed route services. One's in Sumner Bonnie Lake. So that bus goes from the Sumner station and goes all the way to Bonnie Lake with several stops in between to the Bonnie Lake Walmart. That runs 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. Also, we have another fixed route service that runs from Spanaway to South Hill. The South Hill area is that Fred Meyer's over there close to what's that 196 up there on Meridian. So we take passengers all the way from that location all the way back to Spanaway area. We also do a special needs transportation service for the veterans down in Ording, and it brings those veterans from Ording Village down there all the way up here to South Hill to do shopping and everything else. How do you actually get the service? There's 2 ways you can get the service. You can go online to the Beyond the Borders website on Pierce County Human Services website and do an application yourself. The best way to do it is to go to Access Pierce, which used to be called 211. Call them, and they have transportation coordinators that can hook you up for services, not only just the South Hill area, but throughout Pierce County too. We have full accessible ADA vehicles. These vehicles range from 12 passenger vans or buses to 18 to actually even little small cargo vans too. As I stated before, we do demand trips, but we also do ride shares. We try to make sure we fill up our vehicles as much as possible because it is cost efficient. Now about the Beyond the Borders expansion program. Pierce Transit and I partner together to make sure that we don't have to transfer a client when you're saying you're going to South Hill and you're going in the Puyallup area, but it's in that gray area. We will go 5 miles, 5 to 7 miles in the Pierce Transit area, so you guys won't have to transfer. But if it's more than that, you're going to have to transfer to a Pierce Transit vehicle. So we try to partner because it's a hassle to get clientele from one vehicle to the next vehicle just to finish up your trip. So we call that last mile trips, and we try to make sure that your clientele's actually comfortable. Once again, how you can access it online by going to the Beyond the Borders website on Pierce County, or calling or going to Access Pierce website to actually talk to a coordinator. Because talking to a coordinator, it's more comfortable for most of the clientele. It's easier for the clientele to ask all the questions they need in the whole 9 yards. And you'll probably be able to ask those pertinent questions of how do I get from South Hill to downtown Tacoma? Because I don't service downtown Tacoma. I talked about demand response trips. Demand response trips are door-to-door services. And I have two providers. It's important that we talk about the two providers because one, it's a compassionate like service. It's done by Envoy. You see this person right here on the slide. This person is blind. And when you usually have a trip by these guys, you usually get the same driver almost all the time. So they get to know your family, they get to know the client, and they do these trips over and over again for the same client. Question?
Well, how far are you planning on coming out? Because we're out by the high school and beyond the borders. I said Mitchell doesn't even come out to us.
Yes, we do.
You,
Yes, we do.
I need to be able to talk to somebody.
I'm the person to talk to.
Yeah,
We definitely go out to Bethel High School. As a matter of fact, that commuter bus that I just talked about, that goes from
yeah.
Fred Meyers to Spanaway, goes right by Bethel High School all the time. The other provider I have has the bigger buses. The compassionate provider, they use their own privately owned vehicles. So like I said, it's more compassionate, it's more customer friendly, it's more get to know you, and we take care of that rider all the way from door to door. The other provider, they also provide door to door, but you see their bigger buses, and that's where you can put your wheelchairs and your scooters and your riding mobility and walkers and everything on this other provider that we have. So once again, just telling you how to apply online. And in the back of the room back there, I have rack cards. If you guys want a copy of them, they're back there. Please get them. Great information on there for you. My other partners that help me run this service is United Way. United Way runs the Access Pierce. This is, like I said, they connect you from everybody in the county, and they also work in Thurston County too. And they also have a like a Lyft program just in case you're stranded or something like that. You can actually call them. You can get hooked up to actually get a Lyft ride if it's an emergency. There's their contact information right there. Last but not least, United Way, they are our central transportation intake person for special needs transportation in the county. They want to know every single body because they match you guys up perfectly for which provider needs to actually do the service for you. Like I said, talking to somebody is probably the best way to get special needs transportation because before we used to have 211 and it was a long wait time. Now they have Access Pierce. You're getting directly to that transportation coordinator a little bit faster than we used to with 211. They do the screening online or on the telephone. They get you all processed and you're good to go. Once you are in the system, you are in the system and you do not have to do your application unless you don't ride for a very long time. Are there any questions for me? Yes, ma'am.
Would it be worth it to make an appointment with like United Way to start? Like, it seems like there might be a bigger process than just
Right.
getting rights. Like,
Right.
do you go and meet with people from United Way?
They just do most of it on the telephone and they talk to you and their transportation coordinators do even more than just transportation coordinators. Sometimes there's homeless individuals they help try to get shelter in the whole 9 yards. So if you have special needs issues and everything else, it'd be good to talk to them and they'll be able to hook you up to the right. Any questions online? If not, I'll pass this on over to Pierce Johnson. Thank you very much.
All right, so with Pierce Transit, you get a twofer. So as we said earlier, I'm Nicole and this is Melvin. Melvin's one of our travel trainers. So he's kind of the expert with getting you to and from. So what we here today is just to kind of talk to you a little bit about Pierce Transit being more than just a bus. When you think of us, that's usually what everybody thinks of, which is the heart of our system. But for others, there's options such as ride share, aka van pool, or runner, which might be a better fit. So we have flexible options beyond those fixed routes. So rideshare is really ideal for those groups that are commuting to the same workplace within whether you start or end in Pierce County. And then Runner is a neighborhood-based on-demand type shuttle service that connects people locally within a specific zone. So like David was saying, they have zones with the Beyond the Borders that they are not always able to cross over into our area. We have dedicated zones too where Runner will get you to the next closest Pierce Transit fixed route or to the next Runner zone. So it's really good that we have partnerships with them too that can kind of fill in some of those gaps. Both of those options, whether you're in a rideshare or on an on-demand runner, is designed to reduce that cost and increase that access to make it easier for you all to commute.
Now, the other thing we wanted to bring up to you all is our transit centers. Now, these are spaces that you might see as you're going around. We have one out in South Hill, or as you go to places like the Tacoma Mall or Commerce Street. These are hubs that are connecting spaces for many different routes. It's a space that I would consider, as I train people, to be like a checkpoint. If you find yourself disoriented or lost, or you needed any kind of assistance, this is a place where you can find many different buses instead of just one route. You can find assistance through the means of an operator that is normally stationed and based at the transit centers. And there's a lot of accessible tools and resources to help along the way, like electronic reader boards to tell you when the next few arrivals and departures would be for buses. It's a key center. It's a key place that I keep in mind when it comes to people that are commuting on the bus, as there is always somebody to get help in getting wherever you need to go from these places.
So all of our fixed route buses are accessible. Operators will assist with securement and make sure that riders feel safe and supported. We do welcome service animals on all of our Pierce Transit buses and help people perform specific tasks, whether that's guiding or alerting to sounds, detecting seizures. Riders are not required to show certification, and drivers will not ask about somebody's disability. Service animals, like I mentioned, are allowed as long as they are under control and not posing a safety risk to others. We do allow pets too. We just ask that they're in a secure carrier. So with that, going into SHUTTLE, which is our paratransit or specialized transportation. This fills the gaps where fixed routes don't work well for some. So this is especially helpful for those with mobility challenges or limited access to nearby bus stops. They do go with only about 3/4 of a mile. Sometimes they'll stretch it up to a mile within our fixed route. But we do have a specialized transportation group that will help get that scheduled. We do try to ask that they get that scheduled 1 to 5 days in advance. Like our friends at Beyond the Borders, this is a good spot for essential things, grocery store, doctor's appointments, things like that. And in most cases, they will wait for you. Of course, if you're at a longer appointment, they might go run and pick up some other folks and drop them off and pick them up, but they'll make sure that they're back to you at the time you had scheduled. All right.
So this is where I kind of come in.
Recognize that person there?
So we also offer travel training. And this is for those that are looking to just learn how to operate our service system of the transit, bus, the fixed routes, learning how to operate the shuttle, or learning how to book the runner. It is to initially it was to help out seniors and people with disabilities, but we open it up to just general assistance in general. If this is your first time using our bus system, we want to help you any way we can. We want to help people build confidence and independence when it comes to going on these routes, and that comes in the form of taking trips with you one-on-one, planning those out with you before you even touch the buses, learning our routines, figuring out the things that may be causing you some kind of barrier in your process, and we work through every step of the way. And it's not just on one route. If you find yourself needing to get yourself ready to figure out how to get on the bus to go to the store and then find a way to get to work, or maybe you just have a social event you want to try to find your way to, you can work our way through all of it. You just need to find that time and go work on it with you.
And like it says here, it is free. And you don't need to have the reservation other than just calling and working that out with one of our travel trainers.
So if you look up to your left there, you see Mr. B's nice and handy regional permit there. There are many different ways you can get on the bus. Like we've had questions about, we do still accept exact change in fares. Mostly that is on our fixed routes. We also have things like the transit app, which you can download that on your phone at any given time, and you can buy your ticket after you already know where you want to go. So you can plan your trip, have your ticket on your phone, and then you don't even have to worry about paying the bus driver. You just show them that you have that already accessible. And then you have the ORCA card, which we've already said a couple of times. There are many different ways you can fill that ORCA card. There are vending stations that are at every transit center. There are grocery stores, in fact, Safeway, Fred Meyer's, all of these basic stores that you go to already as it stands. The customer service area can help you with filling your ORCA card as well. It can also help you go and get one too if you don't want to go to the Tacoma Dome station, or if you feel like there's a shop that's closest to you, that is another place you can go.
So here are easy ways to kind of plan your trip. This is a QR code that will get you to our trip planner through Pierce Transit to help you download the app. It'll help you kind of plan those things along on your own. And to download that transit app, like we said, you can call customer service. They're really great about giving you that one-on-one help. The bottom line is that we just really want to make sure that everyone has access to reliable trip information, no matter what your comfort level is with technology. Just making sure that you prep along the way can help make sure that everything goes along smoothly. And then also, fun fact, every stop has a bus number.
Yeah. There's 4 digits on the top that is right next to every one of those bus route signs. Those 4 digits are the physical bus stop. So if you take that phone number that you see in the bubble there, you can call it, you can text it, but essentially what that number will do is when you give them those 4 digits, they'll give you the next 2 times you see that bus arrive to that station. So it's another way to connect to get real-time information to track where you are. And this is, in a way, kind of replacing what you used to see on those placards that you see on the bus stop that show all those times. It's a little more reliable because we can give you real-time, on-the-fly information. So you can trust this a little more.
And for folks that may not have that comfortability with technology and downloading an app, this is a really good resource to be able to call that in. I know like some of the seniors in my family, they have the flip phones. So either calling or those that are a little bit more up to speed on how to do texting on that, a really great resource. So
it's really clear. I know the transit app sometimes, if you're not able to navigate it the first few times around, can be really perplexing. So this is a way that will just be very clean and streamlined, just like any text you get from a family member.
Well, that's pretty much all we have to highlight right now. Any questions here in the room or online that we can answer? Perfect. All right, kick it back over to Melody. Thank you.
Yeah. From here on, we're just wrapping up. All right. So I mentioned the class materials. This PowerPoint will be available online. Here's a QR code for that. And it'll be posted within the next week. And also, of course, the Pierce County Environmental Education Group, who's hosting the Earth Matters classes. They are hosting a couple of other classes coming up. It's a little small, so I'll read these. Coming up in March, there's a class, let's see. At Orange Gate Park in Tacoma, but I wish they listed the topic of the class. So there's some classes upcoming, but you can find out more about the classes at piercecountylaw.gov/Earth Matters Series. So there's a couple more classes there. And of course, we welcome your feedback. We want to make sure our classes are useful to community members and they get the information they need. So we have this evaluation form available and welcome your comments at any time. And with that, we'll just open it up to Q&A if there's anything. I'll move from there. So I guess, yeah, that's the conclusion of our class. And after this, we'll be hopping on the bus that's outside in a little bit. But yeah, that's our class.
Thank you.
Yeah. And you can get an ORCA card. I'm handing out ORCA cards that have $10 loaded on them. You don't have to ride the bus with us today to keep it. I'm happy to just hand them to you if you feel like you want to give transit a try. And you can register, you can create an account on the MyORCA website to register that card in your name. So you can keep loading funds onto it and just make it your own. Yeah.
If you do want to participate in the optional bus ride that Melvin and I are available for, you can do so. That bus does leave at 3:15. So just let us know so we can get ample time to walk out there and load up.
See you there.
Oh, I'm looking at that.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.